Everybody. Welcome back. It's Melissa Andrews here with The Benefit Nerd. Thank you so much for joining me again tonight on my channel. I have to take a moment to apologize for the horrible lighting. I had to sneak off into like a quiet corner in my house. So it's not going to be the best. Not that yesterday was bad, but um, so thanks again for coming back and joining me today so that we can talk about lessons. So, lessons. Oh, the things that are teaching us that we don't know are teaching us. So, I think back to what got me here, and there are really three like pivotal moments when I think about how I got to be, well, the benefit nerd. So the first was when I was a new college graduate and I became a social worker. And so my exposure at that point was to individuals who were receiving public assistance. They were on Medicaid, and they were typically receiving some type of income from the government as well. Um, so I got a really in-depth look at the applications these individuals had to complete, the information that they had to provide. Um, it it is a lot, and it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense, and it's this, you know, complex formula of things that are considered assets or income or not those things, and it's really I needed to be there as their case manager to help them make sure that they got all the information submitted, but I wasn't the person who made the actual decision. So having that experience as a young social worker, myself also getting benefits for the first time in my adult life and having to kind of navigate that for myself and understand, what I had or didn't have as far as benefits were concerned. But really it was the first time for me, because I was an advocate for these individuals, and I had to understand it on some level so that I could make sure that what little money they did have, they were paying for things they needed to pay for and not paying for the things that they didn't need to pay for. And so it was a really good, starter, a primer for me to gain an understanding of what it's like to be the everyday healthcare consumer because I was their advocate in that. Um, then I would say, many different types of things led me then to take a job as a benefits coordinator for a large company of about 5,000. We had domestic and international employees, but I was only responsible for domestic employees. But still, 5,000 people that live all over the United States. And my job was to educate them not only in like biweekly new hire orientations, and in person and video. I had to be consistent in that information because I needed to ensure that everyone was really getting the same message. But everyone can interpret it differently. We all do. We all take those experiences that we've had or that our loved ones have had, and then we apply that to our own hypothetical situation in making decisions about our healthcare. Because is there any other roadmap for us to follow necessarily? Not really. Um, so in that position, in that job, it really was for me like, okay, people need help. They need to be able to understand how these things operate, and they need to be able to learn that information in the way that's comfortable for them. So I had to be able to be versatile and communicate those in different ways. And then I would say the most recent and most impactful um, employment opportunity that I had was I was for the county that I live in now in Wisconsin, which is Door County, Wisconsin. Um, I was the elder benefit specialist, so I met with anyone 60 years or older, and discussed the public and private benefits that they were eligible for. So I would meet with people who were retiring from large companies that had these retiree packages. So I had to, help them kind of understand how they were comparing and could they take this prescription drug plan or did they have to take a Part D plan? Um, there were other individuals who needed help again with from the first position that I had as a social worker. There were still some people who in this position were still low income, low asset individuals. So they had some form or level of Medicaid, or maybe they were called dual eligible, which means you are eligible for Medicaid and Medicare at the same time. Um, that, or to the individual who's making a very high income and they get these letters and they're like, why am I having to pay more? So there's a lot of things that in that position I realized I have worked all along and helped the employee. I've educated them. But here is this whole population of people who are self-employed, have never had health insurance, or have only had the state health insurance and now they don't qualify anymore. Um, they chose to retire early, so maybe they aren't offered, any health insurance outside of COBRA. So once COBRA ends, where do they go? Because they're not eligible for Medicare yet, because they're not age 65. I mean, there's so many. It's life. It's life, and our programs and our policies are all kind of built around these little boxes. And if you kind of veer outside of those, um, where do you fit? How do you go? What do you need to do? Um, so that's, though that was the most pivotal part for me as I realized that there is a huge portion of people who need someone that can help educate them on healthcare in those years of transition, whether it's their spouse transitioning, off of a plan, so they're losing coverage they've always had through their spouse, or they're just choosing to retire from their own employer. And should they take COBRA? Does it make more sense to take COBRA and then do something when that ends? So there's many, many, many situations that we can talk through. And that really those three things kind of compounded for me. And I realized I am an advocate at heart. I want to advocate for people and I want to empower them. And so it made sense for me to finally start a channel where I could share all of that information with all of you. So thanks again so much for stopping by today, and taking just a little bit of time out of your day to learn a little bit more about me. Again, hopefully tomorrow we'll have a little bit better lighting for the video. But that's perfect. That's why I signed up for a challenge, right? I got to challenge myself and figure out what I need to make this happen. So if there's anything that you have to say, feel free to drop a comment down below, and I will give you a shout out. If there's anything you would like me to look into or do a video on specifically, um, you know, drop a comment and let me know, and I would be happy to look into that. I'm really excited about this opportunity with all of you to kind of just take it one step at a time and educate ourselves and tackle this system that we all have to work with. So until next time, have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.